Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. Turn on some more light here. There we go. So, see who we got in here. We have, doesn't show anybody, but I see two people listed there. So we probably got Chupa and maybe Colin or Lindis or somebody. Bastille. We'll just hang out for a bit. See, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. There is obviously some gaming news stuff to get into. We have our show and tell for later. Let's see here. Let's go to PC Gamer first. Have that ready to go. So, is anybody in here? It's showing me two people, but when I go to participants, nobody. So I don't know which is correct. And no one said hi, so I'm assuming nobody's in here yet. So, well, for those of you watching this on playback, that's going to be our show and tell today. And we're actually going to do the campaign update that I normally do. I didn't have enough, as far as I could tell, for a standalone video. So I figured, well, I'll just do the campaign update. Because we did play a lot, but it was just a couple of big encounters. So howdy, folks. We got FF in here and Jesse. And now it shows both of you in here. Okay, so now it's actually accurate. Okay. So how are you guys doing? I'm hiding my rank there. Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, the sideburns, I haven't decided yet for the trip if I'm gonna lop off the sideburns and trim this down even more so I don't have to worry about it during the trip. And but we're gonna be doing Evermore Park first. So I wanted to we're going to be probably doing some cosplay, and for that going through Evermore. And so I thought this looked more, more D&D-ish, But then after that, I might clean it up even more for summertime, just so that I have less fur for the 100-degree temperatures and all that crap. So it's supposed to be 100 degrees here starting like tomorrow or the next day. So Jesse, I've already got a whole game plan for that. So this will probably be my last YouTube video before the trip. My last YouTube video in this format. I tested out. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I did test out the what do you call it? The YouTube short feature, which is basically like their version of TikTok. And those are like 60-second videos. So my plan is between Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts, because the YouTube Shorts will show up right here on my page, but they'll only be a minute long. Wherever we're going, that's what I'm going to be doing. My buddy Chris is going to be driving, and I will be doing all the social media stuff. So whether we're at a brewery or a bar or a game store or uh, whatever, or some sightseeing place, whatever it is. I'm gonna be doing shorts, and we may even do. I can do a live right from my phone on YouTube, so I might even do for bigger stuff. I might even do that. I might just do a live. So there will be no shortage of content of the trip and all that. So you have that to look forward to. But you need to follow me on. So Greyhawk 4x4 is my handle on everything. So um, you can follow, and I might do, because TikTok lets me do 3-minute videos. So I might even do some TikToks. So TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Greyhawk 4x4 on Facebook. Um, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some, of course, obviously on YouTube. Um, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something. But regardless, uh, that's where all that content's going to show up. Depending upon what it is, will be depending upon how I post it. So anyway, that's for the trip. So while I'm waiting, let's see what we got here. We've got while I'm waiting for more people to jump in, I'm going to go ahead and talk about our campaign update for our Dolmenwood campaign. And for those that don't know, we're using the Old School Essentials rule set. This stuff is put out by, and I'm not paid to say, it's not a paid placement or anything like that. Necrotic Gnome and Exalted Funeral are who put this stuff out. So if you're interested in it, that's where you'll find it. So where we left off, if I remember correctly, we had got through talking to the big bad guy that has us locked in this menagerie of a whatever type of realm or whatever it is he's got us in. Hermalock was his name, the Droon guy. So we ended up moving on. So basically, he has it. So there's only one path you can really take. I mean, there's different rooms you can go into, but he obviously has it set up where you go down a specific path to have certain encounters. And then he's already told us, this Hermalock dude's already told us that, you know, we have to kill some big baddie creature is our final test to get released from this this place that he has us. So we go looking and everything, and we stumble across a goat man, and that they seem to be fairly common in this Dolmenwood area. The hello Chupa. They seem to be common in this game world. There's different tribes of the goatmen. There's the hookhorns and the longhorns and all these different ones. And we come across this one guy in a room, and his horns are stuck in a wall. Both of his, and he can't get free. And he is, you know, he's combination of asking for help but talking shit at the same time, about like he wants to eat us, and we smell like we'd be delicious or some shit like that or whatever. And we're basically saying, hey dude, we'll get you free, but you gotta promise that you're not gonna eat us, you're not gonna do all this, and you're gonna help us. You're gonna help us find this, whatever this big creature is that we're supposed to kill or whatever. And he reluctantly at some point agrees, because my character, I was actually asking the DM if there was enough room, enough horn area sticking out of the wall, because his horns were stuck in the wall. If there was enough for me to get my hands around, because I was just going to try and snap his freaking horns off, but that didn't go well. So anyway, we end up getting him free, and I don't remember how we did that. I think it was the magic user might have done that. We get this goat guy free, and so of course he's agreed to help us and all that. And we continue on our quest, and we run into several rooms full of kobolds, lots of little kobold, and one of them had a magic hammer that could strike from a distance, like magically somehow, like a spiritual hammer type of a deal. And that was it. I mean, we end up fighting these things, and my character got got stuck. I took pictures and posted them on Twitter. I always do that when we're playing. I post pictures as we're doing it. And at some point, somehow I got in a hallway with three of them facing me. One had the magic hammer, and then behind me, somehow there was another one. So my fellow uh, player characters could not get to me to help me. So basically, it was me against these three with the magic hammer, and I get knocked. Luckily, I got knocked unconscious. I didn't get killed. But they end up having to. After that happened, uh, they come in and take care of everything and rescue me and all that. And um, and then in the big kobold cave, we ended up finding uh, there was a. I guess they were trying to cook a dude because it was a wizard or a magic user or something like that in a big pot above a fire. Um, and that's the end of my notes. So I think that's where we stopped. But it's been crazy. I mean, so now we've rescued this goat dude, and I think I wrote his name down. Let's see what his name was. Kamarov was the goat, Longhorn Goat Man. He serves Lord Malbleet, is I guess the Goat Lord or whatever. So that's the update. I mean, see, that's why I don't think that was enough for a standalone video. So that's why I figured I'll just do it during the live here, and see what we got here. So now we just have Chupa in here. According to this thing, only Chupa is in here now, so everybody else left. Even though it still says 4 people over here. I hate this thing. So if anybody else is in here besides Chupa, speak up, because I'm really interested to see how this thing counts people. I wonder if it counts them only if they make. Well, these other people have already made. Jesse made comments. FF made comments. And there's Jesse T back again. See, it doesn't. Yeah, so literally the participants thing and the counter thing, neither one are accurate. That's wonderful. So, on that note, I'm gonna crack a beer because the wife is home, so I don't have to worry about that. Use my little Predator bottle opener here. That came out of Loot Crate many years ago, back when I was getting the Loot Crates, and I was doing unboxings on here. I don't even know if Loot Crate's still around. I think they were trying to survive at some point, but I think they filed for bankruptcy and they were toast. So I don't know if any of you guys ever got Loot Crate. It was good at the beginning, and then it went to shit, like fast. For summertime, if you happen to be a member of Costco, this is Estrella Jalisco, and it's made by the same company that makes Corona. So it's basically like a Corona, but they have a case. You can get a case of this in the bottles for $20 at every day at Costco. So where Coronas are for a case would be another $10 more. So I like my Corona style beers in the glass bottles in the summertime when it's hot. I prefer that. So, any other beer drinkers in the room here? Diet Coke addict. So I allow myself usually one sugar soda, like my Baja Blast, a day, and then if I have other ones after that, it's the zero sugar ones, like the zero sugar dew. So I can understand. So Jesse, you get beer from work. Do you work at a brewery or something, or a bar, or a beverage distribution place or something? Because that'd be kind of awesome. I remember. So we can do a nice. So we can do a story time real quick here. So and you know what? I might be able to. Let me see. I'm gonna test something out here. Um, I'm gonna check and see if the beer guys. So I still own the beer guys domain, the beerguys.com. And me and my buddies way back years ago, excuse me, we started doing beer testings and tastings, and we had all of it on our website way before the big guys that do it now, like Rate Beer and all that. And then for whatever reason we let it go, or but I kept the the domain, which I still got it if I ever want to do anything with it. But on the Wayback Machine, I might be able to find. Let's see here. I wonder if I can just type in Wayback Machine. Let's go that, because there is a story time I want to tell you guys about that. Let's see here. Okay, so let's do. There it is, Wayback Machine, Internet Archive. Because if I can find in the let's see here. So the Wayback Machine takes snapshots from websites. There it is. So what I'm going to do, just so I can prove it to you guys, is I'm going to take this link and I'm going to put it in the thing here. Okay, so there is the link to our website on the Wayback Machine, so you can see what it looked like. And I'm talking about, this is back when Amazon first started and all they sold was books. So it was like the late 90s or mid to late 90s. That's why it looks as amateurish as it was, because at the time that was all there was as far as designing websites, from home and stuff like that. So anyway, so now that you guys have that at your disposal, this story time will have some context. So during that whole time, everywhere we would go, we would try beers and we would rate them, and then we would come back and we would post that stuff on the website. Well, at one point, me and my buddy Chris, the one I'm getting ready to take this trip with, and his brother, we ended up in New Orleans. They were on a road trip, and I flew to meet them in New Orleans. Back when I used to fly, I don't fly anymore. And while we were there, one of our favorite beers was from New Orleans, and it's Abita Amber, Abita Purple Haze, Abita, what was it? Something Gator. I can't remember the other one. And so we went to I had arranged ahead of time. I called the brewery and said, hey, we're with the beerguys.com. They could go, at that time, they would go to the website. They could see, oh, these guys test beer and all that. So when we went, we already had a tour arranged. So we go, and the person there with public relations or whatever gave us the tour and all that. And we asked the question. We said, well, the people that work here, do they get free beer? That's the obvious question. Everybody needs to know, if you work at a brewery, do you get free beer? And I think she said they got 2 cases a month per employee, got 2 cases free a month of their beer. And I thought, man, that's pretty damn good. I mean, I don't drink 2 cases of beer. I mean, back in the day, in my Army days, I probably would have drank 2 cases a month. Not now. But so for maybe somebody that's, in their 20s or something, they probably could, but I always thought that was one hell of a deal. And then they had it wasn't a big brewery. Abita is still there. You guys can check them out anytime you want. But we went in their break room. They had all the taps set up in their break room, and they were allowed to drink beer while they were at work. They were allowed to. They just, they had to be reasonable about it, but they could have, they could go sit down, have lunch, have a beer while they're on their break or whatever. They could. Now I don't know how the rules are now, but back then they could. So anyway, there's the story time of the time we went to New Orleans and got to go to the Abita Brewery, which was awesome. So Jesse, are you able to say which brewery you work for? Or would you prefer that to be private? ABI, isn't that I think I know what I think that stands for Anheuser-Busch, but I'm pretty sure. But I've been to the Budweiser plant, the brewery in Fort Collins, Colorado. I've been there. So, yep, I got that right. I forgot about the InBev part, that they're owned by InBev. Now I forgot that part, but I knew AB was Anheuser-Busch. So, right on. Yeah, that Fort Collins, that was a pretty good tour we took there at that brewery. So, anyway, you guys want to do we can do the show and tell now. We'll do the show and tell, then we'll do some gaming news. So, this is the Dungeons and Dragons. I've been told it's pronounced Gazetteer. So that's how you're supposed to say it, not Gazetter. It's Gazetteer. And this was for the basic Dungeons and Dragons game. I bought this. I want to say, I'm trying to remember why I got this. There was a reason I ordered this, I think. There's something in here that I wanted for content for my D&D game, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it was for. But it has a couple of maps, and we'll open them only about like that so we don't tear them. So they look like that. And like that. And then this one is like that. So a couple of nice full color maps. Looks like they're probably double-sided maybe. And then there's a couple of books in here. Actually, there's 3 books in here. Book 1, the Dungeon Master's Source Book. And this is a thick ass book here. This is, and it even has it has a magic item creation sheet, so that you can use this formula to create your own magic items, or I guess randomly. This one is over about 120 pages. This book. And the game world that they're talking about is Alphatia. And that says that on the front here. Dawn of the Emperors, Thyatis and Alphatia. So I'm guessing those are 2 different areas that this is what they're talking about. Yes, there's 2 different game worlds. There's Thyatis and Alphatia. So there's 2 different parts of the game world here. I don't know if they're continents or what. But this goes into, there's a lot of content here. So this is probably, you could probably use this thing to work right into an existing campaign and just work it right in. And when I got this, and I don't know why, again, I don't remember why I bought it, but somebody in there, somebody had done their own boat, their own boat map there for the campaign. And then there's player. Okay, and these two are player guides. This is Player's Guide to Thyatis and Player's Guide to Alphatia. So the two game worlds. There's player guides for each one of these. One says you are an adventure, welcome adventure to the Empire of Thyatis, and the Empire of Alphatia welcomes you, provided, of course, that you're a magic user. That's interesting. Perhaps they only like magic users in that realm, and they shun everybody else. So, anyway, so that is the gazetteer for this Thyatis and Alphatia. So there is your show and tell for today. And this box is pretty beat up. I don't remember. It's got tape on it and everything, but it's all complete. So it's all there, which is the most important thing. So there's your show and tell. Okay, so we've done the campaign update. We've done the show and tell. We've talked about beer. Let's talk about gaming news, because the number one thing I wanted to talk about in that respect is Diablo Immortal. I'm sure you've all seen the plethora of videos and Twitter posts and podcasts and everything else talking about how horribly predatory the microtransactions are in that game, in Diablo Immortal. And the pushback is considerable. Somebody did the math and said that if you wanted to, I'm not sure that 100% on this, but something to the effect of, if you wanted to level all the paragons or whatever it's called, and you had to use, causing you to need to use microtransactions, it could cost $110,000 to do what the absolute maximum or whatever. I believe that's the number I heard. Now, whether or not that's 100% accurate, I don't know, but I've heard it. I've seen it at least two different places. Well, here, let's just do a search here for all right, let's go to news for Diablo Immortal. Diablo Immortal streamer has now spent over $10,000 without getting a 5-star legendary gem. Diablo Immortal now has Blizzard's lowest ever user score on Metacritic. Wow. Let's see. I want to find that one particular thing. Here it is, right here on Gamer Rant. All right, I'm going to put this in the chat for you guys. Okay, so there's the Game Rant article about Immortal, and it basically says it cost $110,000 to fully gear up in Diablo Immortal. Holy shit balls. Now that's insanity. And it just goes back to the corporate greed business model um, of AAA game companies now, like Activision Blizzard and EA. There was another story I read about EA that um, they had laid off so many people. They were like working with just a skeleton crew now. I don't know if that's been confirmed, but let's do a check on that, because I heard that also today. EA denies that Battlefield 2042 has a skeleton crew working on it. There's got to be a certain amount of truth to it, though. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a thing. So I think the overall theme that we're seeing with these game companies is that they are willing to put profit, and I'm not saying they shouldn't make profit. I believe that, that there's a certain level of capitalism that is healthy, that you need capitalism to push the economy and everything. But to me, it seems like they've taken the formula to basically squeeze every nickel of profit they possibly can, and employees and the public, the consumers, be damned. Whether they put out a good product, whether they get complaints from the employees because they're overworked and underpaid and everything else. It just seems like, and it doesn't seem to be getting. It doesn't seem to be getting any better. I don't know what else to say about it. I got a little straggler there I got to deal with. Yeah. So, uh, how do you guys feel about it? I mean, it it does not look well. It does not look good for the industry. The other gaming news topic I did want to cover about The Last of Us apparently is coming to PC. Let's see here. Oh, Call of Duty is bringing the $70 game to Steam. So they're officially bumping the generic default price from 60 to 70 now. I was wondering how long it would be before that bump happened, because we saw it go from way back. It was $30. Then it went to 40. Then it went to 50. Then it went to 60. Now it's going to 70. Yeah, it was a matter. It wasn't. I knew it wasn't too far in the future that they were going to bump that up. So, oh, the Grammy Awards added a dedicated video game category. Huh. So they must have a category for basically for game music, soundtracks and stuff. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't. Where is this? I know I saw something earlier about The Last of Us coming to PC. Last of Us confirmed for PS5 and PC. Now I might be able to get more into the game on PC. I couldn't. I just. I'm not a controller guy. I'm not a console controller guy. Just not. Tried it. Just not for me. Here, IGN. The Last of Us remake officially revealed, arriving in September for PS5 PC version on the way. Right on. I'm happy with that. Is anybody still here? Because I'm not seeing any comments, so I may just be talking to myself. We may just be this may just be for those watching it on replay at this point. Gotcha, Jesse. Well, I think you're the only one here, Jesse. Now, I think Chupa and FF took off. So, um, oh, I know what's going on right now. Everybody's watching the damn January 6th. Everybody's watching the January 6th commission. Probably that's why there's nobody on here. I'll bet. Because normally we'd have people, we'd have Lindis and DM James and everybody, Mister. It's in Colin. It's pretty late where they are, but sometimes they're in here. So, that must be what it is. Okay. Well, we're probably gonna cut this short then, because there's no point in me. FF says, "Have you ever had a paranormal experience? UFO, Bigfoot, ghosts, etc." Yes, I have. And before that, I've had two. My wife and I have had two together. We've been together when both of them have happened. Um, Before that, I would have called myself 100% skeptic. So the first happened. Boy, this is going to be an interesting story time. You better strap in. Get yourself something to drink, because this might take a little while. So I was in the Army. I was stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma for over 2 years, if you include, because I went to basic and advanced training there, and then I was stationed there. So I was there for quite a while. So when my wife and I lived in Texas, we decided, well, it's not that far to drive up to Fort Sill, because I wanted to show my wife the base. I wanted her to see Fort Sill. And at that time, you can't do it now, post 9/11 and all that. I don't think you can just drive on to the base anymore. But back then you could. So I took her to Fort Sill, and they have a museum there. They have the Field Artillery Museum there. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't know: the famous Native American chief Geronimo is buried there. His grave is on the base at Fort Sill. The reason that he's buried there is he was held captive there when they captured him, when U.S. soldiers captured him. Whenever that happened, they have a guardhouse that also was like a jail on the property. It's still there. It's part of the museum. His cell that he was kept in is there, that you can see if you go there. You can still, by the way, you can still go there. You just have to apply for a visitor pass in advance, and then you have to pick it up. Basically, you have to send them documents so they can do a background check on you and all that other stuff before you go. And so you can still go to the museum, all that stuff. You just have to do it in advance now. So we go to the museum and all that, and then, of course, my wife wants to see Geronimo's cell and the jail and all that. So we go, and there's an upstairs part, and then the cells and everything are in the basement. So my wife and I walk down the stairs, and there's like probably 3 or 4 cells down there, all in, if I remember, they're all on the same side of the building. It's not a big building, and so his cell was at the very end, if I remember correctly. And so I start walking that way, and my wife only got about halfway. I got to the end and I was looking into, you couldn't walk into a cell at that time. I think the second time we went visit, they had it open. You could actually walk in there. But the first time when we had this experience, it was closed. So you could just look through the bars and everything. And I was looking there, and when people say that they feel a cold spot, before this happened to me, I would have thought, oh, that's just bullshit. They're just making up whatever. Literally, the temperature where I was standing dropped significantly, and I immediately had the feeling of impending doom. to the point where I knew had to get out of that building. So I start walking back, and my wife had these big old eyes. Her eyes are this big, and she's like, "I got to get out of here." Now we're separate. We're not even. We're probably 20 feet apart at that point, and I'm walking towards her, and her eyes are this big, and she says, "I got to get out of here." And she turns around, and boom, up the stairs she goes, and I follow her. And we get up there, and I said, "Did you get like feel cold or whatever?" And she's like, "No." She goes, "I just immediately got this feeling of I have to get out of here, like doom. I have to get out of here. This is like literally forcing me, both of us, out." She didn't have the experience with the cold or whatever, and so we go up and out and everything, and then I walk back in because I wanted to ask the person at the museum. I said, this building it's now air conditioned because it's an old building. It's the original building, and I'm like, is because I was thinking, well, maybe while I was standing there, the air conditioning came on and there was a vent, and that's where the cold came from. And they said, "This building isn't air conditioned. There's no air conditioning. There's no vent. There's nothing." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And they're like, "Yeah, there's no air. This is an original building. There's no air conditioning in here." So that was the first time. That was the first experience that you can say. Um, the second time, my wife and I were in a town called Solvang, California, which is an old um, Danish tourist town. All the buildings, everything, it all looks like basically you took an old medieval town from Denmark and moved it there and set it down because everything is designed that way. And they've got all the shops and the bakeries and the restaurants and uh, the shops to get like Danish attire and whatever you need. But it's all themed. And so there was a place called the Chimney Sweep Inn, a nice like um, medieval style bed and breakfast hotel, whatever you want to call it. And so when we checked in, we're like, what do you have available? And they're like, here for a room or whatever. And they're like, we have a cottage available, and it's this much. And if I remember correctly, it was the middle of the week, and it was off season, so it was actually pretty reasonable for a full cottage, which is basically like a little house. You get an upstairs, a downstairs. You get a private. There was a private patio enclosed with a hot tub, a fireplace downstairs, a working fireplace, a full kitchen, bedroom upstairs, like in a loft. Um, I mean, like a little house basically. And we're like, well, we'll take that, because I can't remember if it was our anniversary or whatever. We're like, we'll take the cottage. Why not? So we take the cottage, and uh, at some point we decided, okay, we went to dinner or whatever. We came back, and we're like, it's time to go to bed. So we go up, and we're laying down in bed, and there's a TV, so we're watching at the time Jay Leno or whatever. It's late at night. Got Jay Leno on, whatever, and uh, we had all the lights off and all that. Turned off the TV, went to sleep, right? And then I woke up probably at 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that, somewhere in there. And I wake up and I open my eyes and I'm like, what the hell is going on? The lights are on. And so I nudged my wife. I'm like, did you get up and go to the bathroom and forget to turn the lights out? Because like that's just weird. And she's like, I haven't left the bed. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I haven't left the bed. So I'm like, okay. And I got to backtrack. So the first weird thing that happened, we were laying in bed watching Jay Leno, and we heard somebody walking up the steps, up to the loft, to where we were. That's where the bedroom was. We heard creak, creak, like someone walking up the stairs. And I'm like, shit, there's somebody in here. And I jump up out of bed, go down, turn on lights, and there's nobody there. And then I walked down the stairs, and it sounded exactly the same. We heard somebody walking up the goddamn stairs. Now, who knows? Maybe this is one of those things where they're trying to drum up, maybe they have shit rigged to where they want to get it known as like the haunted cottage or some shit like that to try and get people to stay there. Who knows? All I can tell you is we heard somebody walk up those damn stairs. That's what we heard. Um, and as a matter of fact, when I went down to check, um, there were ceiling fans down there. There was one, I think, in the kitchen, like dining room area, and there was one by over above in the living room, like where the fireplace was. There was a ceiling. Both the ceiling fans were going. So, so we heard somebody walk up these stairs, and we know the ceiling fans weren't. We didn't leave those on. So those were on. So now, okay, well, maybe there's an electrical short or whatever, which explains maybe why the lights came on while we're laying in bed. Okay, so I have no explanation for the lights, the ceiling fans, or the sound of somebody coming up and down the stair, coming up the stairs. Um, but we never got the feeling of like doom or foreboding, or we weren't scared or anything like that. It wasn't like the Geronimo thing. The Geronimo thing was if there had been if Hulk Hogan had been standing in my way, I'd have knocked Hulk Hogan on his fucking ass to get the hell out of that basement of that where Geronimo was. I mean, I'd have been like, sorry, Hulk, you're going down, Holmes, if you don't get out of my fucking way. Bam. I mean, uh, yeah, there was nothing stopping us from getting out of that. So that by far is the most um, compelling one that we ever felt. And that was, again, we were separated, and we got that experience simultaneously while separated. If we were standing there together, it would be like the power of suggestion. Nah, this happened. We were separate. So anyway, you asked. There you go. There's my 2 instances of possible paranormal experiences. I guess it wouldn't fall as paranormal for the other time was the experiences I had at Universal Studios when I was working graveyard shift at Universal Studios as a security supervisor. My job was to go around and check on all the security officers, make sure they weren't sleeping, make sure they were doing their jobs, make sure they knew their orders. It's called post checks. And we had a stage at Universal called Stage 28, and it was known as the Phantom Stage. The reason it was called the Phantom Stage is that was where the original Phantom of the Opera with Lon Chaney was filmed. Excuse me. Like in 1912 or some crazy shit, like, or 1920. It was like a silent picture. And the reason it was called the Phantom Stage is because the set for the balconies and all that was still there. They kept that for whatever reason. They decided to keep that as a historical thing. So that set was there on the Phantom Stage forever. They kept it there. And so when I worked there, it was still there, of course. And it was called the Phantom Stage. And everybody always said, "Oh, that stage is haunted." And I have no reason to call this a paranormal experience. All I can tell you is that when you would be on that stage at night, graveyard shift, and so forth, uh, I experienced it myself. Other people talked about it all the time, and it was more like commonplace. Like, yeah, that just happens. There are wooden stairs that go up to the catwalks for the riggers to put the lights and all the rigging and everything that goes up in the ceiling and all that stuff. And it's way the hell up there. These sound stages are 20, 25 feet, maybe 30 feet high. And so to get up there, you got to go up these wooden steps. They're not ladders, they're actual staircases that go up. And then there's catwalks all up in there. And it was common knowledge that if you were on the Phantom Stage, Stage 28, at night or whatever, you would hear people walking up and down those steps, and the stuff creaking and stuff like that. And I heard it. Now, again, I don't know that this is anything paranormal or it was just the building settling, the wood settling. Maybe it was hot that day and it had heated up and then it was cooling down and it was creaking. But I heard it. I didn't hear it on other stages. I will say that. I never heard it on other stages. And then another guaranteed thing that would happen all the time when you're on stage 28 is you'd go in, you turn the lights on, you'd be checking everything, because all the sound stages have to be checked every night for fire hazards and just making sure everything is secure. So they all have to be walked through every night. And it was common knowledge that you would turn the lights on, you walking around and all that, and the lights would go out. Now, again, that could be electrical problem, right? But so I'm just saying those are things that I did experience at Universal on that stage. Now that stage is gone now. They've torn it down, which blew my mind when I found that out, that it's gone. I never thought they would tear down the Phantom stage just because of the fact it was historic. But it's gone now. So whether it was or wasn't, it's gone now. Um, so that one I don't know how you want to categorize that one. The one at Fort Sill, Geronimo's, 100%. If you ask me, that was some kind of weird paranormal experience. I can't explain it, but it was. The one at Chimney Sweep Inn, could be explained as they had the thing rigged, maybe that they're trying to get people to think it was haunted, so that more people would want to stay there, or a combination of electrical issues. Who knows? Um, so the only one I'm counting as 100% that I'm convinced, because I was a skeptic before that, was the one at Geronimo Cell. That one was fucking weird. So anyway, okay, let's see here. So I don't know who's still here, but I'm gonna call it here. We're over 50 minutes, and it doesn't look like there's very many people in here. So I think most people might be watching that January 6th thing. I have a feeling. Any last minute questions, comments? Want to tell me to go pound sand, whatever. Thanks, Jesse. Thank you, FF. Thanks, Chupa, if you're still in here. I have no way of knowing. It just shows FF and Jesse in here. So, would you return to Geronimo Cell? Yes, I would go back. Well, I've been back. So to add to that, we did go back. That was the very first time we were there, and then we went back because I had a reunion. I had an Army reunion there, and so we decided to go back. My wife would not go down there. She stayed up top. I went down. Geronimo's cell at that point was open where you could actually walk into the cell and everything and look around. Had no experience. Nothing happened. Didn't feel the cold spot. No feeling of nothing. Absolutely nothing. So yes, I have been back. No second experience. Can't tell you what the first one was. Did not happen again. Did not imagine it. The temperature fucking dropped significantly. And the impending doom thing we both felt separate, not together. So that answers that question. Yes, I've been back, and I would go back again. I don't know if my wife will ever go back down there, but I would. So anyway, I hope that answers your questions. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side. Cheers.